Hello, welcome to my channel, Dexy's Corner. If this is your first time, my name is Adeze. I am a pharmacist, a wife, and a mother. And on this channel, I talk about the 3 M's: medicines, marriage, and motherhood. Welcome. If this is not your first time, welcome back, and thank you for staying on this channel with me, for liking my videos, for watching them, for commenting, and for sharing it with your friends. Welcome back. Today, I'll be doing something different. Well, not entirely different from what this channel is all about, but I'll be doing something for the first time, and that is talking about marriage. Since the inception of this channel, I've talked about medicines, I've talked about motherhood, but I haven't talked about marriage. And today I'm kicking off the marriage talk on this channel with communication in marriage. I'm sure you have heard lots of times how it is very important. Communication is very good for marriage. In fact, it's the bedrock of every marriage. Without communication, a marriage won't survive, and all that. But there's always something missing each time I hear this thing. They don't break it down, with, I think, practically for you to wrap your head around communicating properly or effectively in marriage. I agree that it's very important to communicate effectively in a marriage. I agree totally. I have lots of experience with improper communication, or how not communicating effectively can mess things up in a relationship or in a marriage. Aside marriage, communication skills are important for other relationships. In fact, for every human interaction, communicating effectively is very, very important. But I'm focusing on marriage. Yes, I am, because I am married. And I've learned a lot in my 12 years of being married, and I want to share some of the things that I've learned about communication in marriage. The first thing is that communication is not just about talking. No, it's not just talking. It is speaking, expressing yourself in such a way that the other person that you're expressing yourself to understands the points you were trying to make, or you are trying to make. The person has to understand it from your point of view for that communication to be complete. Okay, that is very important. And communication is not just about talking. We have verbal and non-verbal communication. Yes, the non-verbal communication, of course, embodies the body language. We're used to body language in Nigeria. Body language, sign language, expressions, pitch and tone of voice. All these things constitute non-verbal aspects of communication, and you need to pay attention to them. Communication is not talking. It's a two-way thing. It's not one way. All right? So you talk or you express yourself, and the other person does what? Is supposed to listen and to understand. If there's no understanding, then communication is not complete. One of the very major things that will set the foundation for how you communicate with your spouse is understanding your spouse very well. Understand your partner's moods, your partner's character, your partner's temperament, your partner's perceptions about different issues and their biases. All these things affect the way you should communicate with your partner. Okay, let me give an example. My husband is not a morning person when it comes to certain things. There are certain conversations he'd rather not have in the morning. It took me a while to understand this part of him. So if I want him to really listen to me and understand what I'm talking about, I will not have that conversation when he's in that mood that he wouldn't understand what it is that I'm talking about. Understand it fully. He will hear me, he's listening, he can hear the words I'm saying, but he can't fully wrap his head around it because he's not in the right frame of mind at that point in time. It's very important to understand your partner very well. Another important point is choosing the right time and place for communicating with your spouse. There are certain conversations that are best had in some places. Yes, there are certain conversations you want to have at home, and it's better you guys go to your room instead of staying in the parlor where the kids can hear what you're talking about, right? Because you might not fully express yourself in that place where the kids are, so it's better you go to the room. Or you guys are out with friends and there are certain conversations, it's best not to have those kind of conversations where other people are. You wait till you get home. You need to pick the right time to communicate certain things with your partner. Yes, for example, your partner goes to work on a Monday morning and probably works in these kind of offices that Mondays are very, hellish. This person comes back very tired, and you choose that time to talk about something that this person has to be, mentally prepared for. Chances are that conversation will not end well, and you will not get what you want out of the conversation because this person is not in the right frame of mind for that conversation. If you don't know what the right time and place is, you can preempt your partner. Yes, I do that. There are certain conversations I want to have with my husband, or certain interactions. I send him a message or call him and say, see, I want us to talk about this, or I want us to do this. When will it be convenient for you? All right, you can preempt the person, and the person picks the right time and place. There are certain conversations that I've had to have outside our home with my husband. I just call him and let him know, let's meet up here. We need to talk about this thing. Or I might not even tell him what it is we want to talk about, depending on what it is. I tell him, okay, meet me up at so place. It's kind of a date almost, and then we can have conversations about things that concern us or the whole family. Choosing the right time and place is very important. Manner of approach, very important. Men and women are so different. They are so different in the way they perceive things. It's the same thing. A man is perceiving it differently. A woman is perceiving it entirely differently. There's this book I read, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. It's an eye-opener. That book helps you understand how men and women are wired differently. I've always known men and women are wired differently, but that book exposed me to the extent to which the way we are wired can affect the way we communicate. If you haven't read it, it's very important that you read it. You would enjoy reading that book. The manner of approach is very important. Depending on what it is you want to talk about, it will be important for you to approach your spouse or your partner the right way and have that conversation. In fact, the first words that come out of your mouth before you start that conversation can set the tone for that conversation, can make or mar that conversation. I learned this one the very hard way. So the manner of approach is very important, and in that manner of approach, the first words that leave your mouth sets the way the conversation will go. There are certain conversations you want to have. For example, you want to clarify something about your spouse. You have a suspicion about something, and you start out, the first few words that leave your mouth start out like an accusation. That conversation will not end the way you want it. Yes. So manner of approach is very important. Something else I would like to talk about that I've found is very important is assumptions. Yes, I'm sure you've heard a lot how women jump into conclusions a lot. There are a lot of memes online showing how women jump into conclusions, but I don't agree. Both men and women jump into conclusions, and assumptions make you jump into conclusions. Yes, assumption is believing something as if it were true without any proof, without any facts. Okay, there are certain things that if you want to talk about with your spouse, please leave assumptions alone. I mean, just come out straight and clear and clarify from your spouse or your partner. Don't even have certain conversations with assumptions. No. It will spoil everything. So please, anything you're not clear on, you should ask your spouse, okay? Ask the person so that you are on the same page with this person about what it is that you are talking about. Another very important point is when you're communicating, you need to communicate clearly without ambiguity. Yes, there are some things that you'll be saying. It will be meaning 3 different things. Please come out straight and direct. Clearly, communicate what clearly. It's very important, because if you communicate clearly, the other person will understand you clearly without any form of doubt. You'll be clear and crisp, okay? In communicating clearly without ambiguity with your spouse, that is something that I learned early on in the marriage. In fact, I learned it before we got wedded. We had a 4-hour session with the priest that wedded us. That session was very enlightening and eye-opening. He gave us an exercise to do. Gave us a sheet of paper each. On one side, we should write 10 things we like in a friend. On the reverse side, 10 things we don't like in a friend. After that, we exchanged our sheets of paper, and for each point I wrote, my husband would read it out to me and ask me to explain what I mean by that. At the end of that exercise, I was like, really? This is how you will be saying something to someone and the person is understanding a different thing. So for example, let me say I wrote sincerity and he read sincerity out to me. I will explain what I mean by sincerity. Like, I will explain how I understand the concept of sincerity, and then he will explain his too, and then we come to we arrive at the same destination. We both understand how we understand what sincerity means. I mean, for like 5 points that, how a very simple word, you'll be like, this thing is simple now, sincerity now, honesty. But when the person starts to explain, there are certain aspects that you wouldn't have even thought about that the person starts to talk about. It was quite expository, and this is a clear example of how to communicate clearly without ambiguity. So when your spouse says something that is sounding like it's not clear, like it might have two meanings, or the person's, for me, I always ask my husband to clarify. When he says, I don't like, maybe he says you don't respect me, okay, I'm not just going to take it like that. I'm going to ask him to explain, how do I not respect you? Can you please break it down for me to understand how I do not respect you? Because I mean, respect it's not simple. It's there are so many aspects to it. So understanding which or what exactly it is that you do that constitutes as disrespect to him will help you to tackle that issue. One other thing I learned is that for you to communicate effectively, you have to be a very good listener. A very good listener. Communication is not just about talking. Like I said earlier, it's talking, listening, comprehending, a whole lot of things. If you don't listen properly, you will not understand the person you're communicating with. Patience. Patience when your partner is talking. Sometimes we're having a conversation. Sometimes we're talking about something, and then my husband is saying something, and I'm like, I know where you're going to. I know where you're going to. I know where you're going to. And then I want to respond. He'd be like, how do you know where I am going to? Are you inside my mind? This thing I'm saying can end in 5 different ways. So please allow me to finish so that you grasp the point and then you can respond. So calm down. It's very important to be patient and to listen, very well to the very end, and then you can respond appropriately. Another aspect of communication in marriage that I would like to talk about is communicating when you guys are quarreling or when you guys are not so good. Yes, we can't deny that quarrels happen in marriages, small ones, big ones, minor ones, major ones. And I find that if you're not able to communicate appropriately within this kind of period, it can worsen the problems that you have with your spouse. One of the first things I would like to say is that I'll use myself as an example. When I am upset with my husband, I'm upset with something he has done, quarreling with him, one of the first things I try to do is to calm myself down and not speak when I'm upset. Because when you're, beclouded with certain emotions, you might not be thinking straight, and you might say things that will hurt or things that will set the course for other things that are not nice that may happen. Yes, so I try not to say anything. I try to calm down and speak as gently as possible. If I cannot speak as gently as possible, I should not even speak at all. I might just end the conversation and say, please, I am upset. I don't want to say anything right now. I wouldn't do that before, but my husband, he's so big on this communication in marriage thing. He expects me to express everything that I feel or anyhow that I feel. If I'm upset with him and I don't want to talk to him for 1 day or 2 days, he expects me to tell him, Ejike, I'm upset with you. I don't want to speak with you for 1 day. I want to take this 1 day to calm down. In as much as communication can be non-verbal, like he should read my body language. He says he doesn't want to assume that sometimes body language does not portray exactly what you're feeling. And I agree with him, because there are people who can keep expressionless faces, or you can't tell the extent to which you've hurt them with the expression you're seeing on their faces. So he expects me to tell him, I'm upset, I don't want to talk right now because I'm upset, I don't want to talk to you the whole of today. So I try to do that. So I just say, I'm upset, I don't want to speak any further, and then I want to end this conversation. Okay, please, whenever you're having issues with your spouse, you're quarreling, or you're in a not so good place, try not to use abusive words. I cringe when I hear that spouses say things like, you're stupid, you're an idiot, you're silly. I mean, these things are not nice, and it leads me to the next point I want to make. The children are watching and they are listening. Yes, no matter how small they are listening, they are watching the way you communicate with your spouse, they are watching the way you behave with your spouse, and it's going to set the foundation for how they behave with other people and their spouses in the future. You wouldn't want to be setting wrong examples for your children. No matter how angry you are, no matter the emotions you're feeling at that point in time, you need to rein them in. I used to tell my husband, I'm angry. How do you expect me not to behave angry? He says, that's why you're a human being. That's why you're not a dog. That's why you're not a goat. You have a certain amount of control, and you should control your emotions. All the things that I've said to you here today, most of them, like 80% of them, I learned from my husband. He is a very good teacher and a very good mentor when it comes to communication in marriage. I mean, this guy, hands down, taught me a whole lot by doing, not by talking, but by the things he does, the way he communicates, and the way he, oh my God, I've learned a whole lot. He's going to watch this video and he's going to laugh at some points because he will remember. Oh my God, he remembers some of the things, some of the foolish things I did early on in the marriage, and I am here remembering how he was able to guide me through and set me straight when it comes to certain things regarding communication in marriage. I have so many other things to say, but I don't want this video to be too long. So we're going to have another video where I talk about other aspects of communication in marriage. I hope this video has been interesting, has been engaging, and you've been able to pick out 1 or 2 or 3 things about communication in marriage that you can use for your own marriage. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video, and please, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe. If you found this video informative, please share with other people so that they too will pick up 1, 2, 3 things from this video. Thank you so much for watching. I don't take it for granted that you come, spend your data, spend your time just to hear me talk. Thank you so much for listening, and bye.